Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to my Wild Rift tier list for patch 4.3D. This is the last patch of the 4.3 cycle before we head into patch 4.4, and you've already seen all the content I've been releasing. New minions, new dragon souls, new champions, new items, removal of items. So let's just say I've got a lot of work to do on the website before patch 4.4 comes out. I'm kind of scheduling it at the moment. By this time next week, I should hopefully have everything updated for patch 4.4. I should be in the progress of making everything updated for patch 4.4. Most of the stuff has been updated in terms of we've added all the items and everything. We also have situational runes coming as well, which I'll be updating for patch 4.4. So a lot to look forward to in terms of the website and in terms of, you know, getting it updated ready for patch 4.4, which is not that far away now if you think about it. And as always with these tier list videos, I will be doing a giveaway. Big massive thanks to Riot as always for providing me with some skin codes to give away to you all. So all you have to do is like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. That's all you got to do, and just keep an eye on your replies. I do reply to some comments if people have questions or anything, but if I reply to you saying, you know, message me on Discord or Twitter or anything like that, then I will be be able to give you the code through there. So just keep an eye out throughout the next couple of weeks, as I'll probably be announcing the winners at the end of October. But going into patch 4.3D, there were quite a few champion changes. I'm not going to go through every single champion because most of them have stayed the same. I've moved some champions up and down, which I will be explaining. I'll be explaining about the buffs and what I think about them, the nerfs as well. And timestamps in the description if you want to head on over down there. You can look at any role that you want to look at. Baron lane, not really too much did change. Renekton did receive a buff. I thought Renekton was already a pretty decent champion. Maybe I was kind of overvaluing him a little bit, and maybe he wasn't as strong as some of the other bruisers in the meta. But the buff that Renekton received is quite a nice buff as well. And I think the early game potential that Renekton does have, especially with Kraken Slayer, Brutal, being able to do a lot of combo damage and trying to do as much damage as possible, that buff with the first ability can definitely help out with that. And maybe Renekton can do a little bit more damage now to help him out against these other bruisers that are super tanky and very strong. You know, bruisers like Jax and Fiora that just split push and really strong. Aatrox is still very strong. Garen as well. And then you still have, or you also have Camille as well. You still have the AP champions, the AP queens that are still, destroying in the Baron lane with Akali and Gwen. And then you have Ornn as well, who is still a very strong tank and a very easy tank to play in the Baron lane. Still the best tank to play out of all the other Baron laners. Wukong did receive a little bit of a buff as well. This was more to the, lane Wukong rather than jungle Wukong, but I mean, maybe he could move up into S+ tier. Maybe I think it's a bit difficult. Again, I think the one thing with Wukong is that he just doesn't have the damage output to be able to come up against any of the other bruisers right now in the Baron lane. He's still S tier. He's still really good to pick up. He still has a lot of sustain, great teamfight potential, really difficult to deal with as well, especially with the cooldown reduction now on his second ability, which is going to make him even trickier to try and take down. You still have other tanks in here as well. Shen's still really good. Malphite's really good. Gragas, if you play him as a tank in the Baron lane. Darius, Irelia set. Riven, Sion's still a really good tank. Yone Baron lane can still work, and Jace as well. I'll probably add Yasuo in the Baron lane as well, because there's been a really popular tank Yasuo build that's been circulating around, especially in EU and China. So maybe I'll have to give that a try and maybe put it in the Baron lane tier list as well. Again, I'll do most of these updates when I go through every single champion when patch 4.4 comes around, and I'll be doing all the item updates, all the build updates and rune updates and everything as well. So I'm really looking forward to that one, even though it will be a very long day for me. A tier, again, some champions that can work out, maybe just not as strong as the S tier and above. Pantheon could do okay. I think Pantheon is better in the jungle though, but Pantheon can still work out. Urgot, again, Volibear, probably better in the jungle, still okay in the Baron lane. Kennen, Dr. Mundo. Timo, I think, is pretty underrated. I still think he can do quite a lot and do quite a lot of damage. Vladimir is just a lot better in the mid lane, but he can still play Baron lane. Then you have B tier. As soon as you get into like the B and the C tier, these are champions that are just weaker compared to the rest. Champions like Nasus, for example, who just take a long time to scale up with, scaling his first ability and stacking it up. Same with Kayle as well, just being able to scale up until level 15. Tryndamere and Sin just doesn't really offer too much. Once they get CC'd, they just get completely shut down. Olaf, not that great in the Baron lane, and Graves as well. Obviously, Graves' Baron lane was really strong when it was like the whole breaker meta with ranged champions in the Baron lane, but not anymore. He's not really a Baron laner at all now. I can probably remove Graves. I'm pretty sure I said that before in a previous tier list video. I'm pretty sure I said that Graves can actually be removed from the Baron lane, but I haven't got to that just yet. Jungle, we're still seeing the same sort of champions in the jungle just wreak havoc, and this has also been buffed as well with Duskblade being buffed, Boosted Dynamism being buffed, which most importantly buffs out Kha'Zix, Kayn, and Lee Sin. I've been seeing a few people run First Strike Lee Sin as well, so I might change that around from Conqueror to First Strike. But I do like the extra sustain and the extra healing that you get from Conqueror. So I think it's like, it depends on what sort of build you go. If you want to go into like a full lethality burst build where you do a lot of damage, then it's probably First Strike. But Conqueror's really good if you go for like Divine Sunder or Black Cleaver sort of build. But yeah, Kha'Zix and Kayn, Shadow Kayn especially, got even stronger with Duskblade being buffed, and also with the buff to Boots of Dynamism. Evelyn's still really good, especially good in lower elos with her invisibility. People really struggle to play around that. Aatrox still a beast in the jungle, and the same with Wukong as well. Still one of the safest and one of the best junglers to play, even after so many nerfs that he received in jungle. But he received a buff now, so his first ability is going to do a little bit more damage. Plenty of champions in the S tier, to be honest with you. There is a lot of champions. I moved Diana down from S plus into S tier. Doesn't mean that the champion is any worse at all. It's just I just think that the S plus tier champions are just way above the rest at the moment. Maybe I can move Wukong down as well. But I just think Wukong is just a very easy to play, very good jungler to play. Maybe I should move Wukong down into the S tier, because at the moment, you know, Aatrox, Kha'Zix, Evelyn, Kayn, Lee Sin, like these junglers are just doing so much work. Like every single game I'm seeing these champions are doing so much work, and they're insane champions to play. But I moved Diana down because I don't think she fits up in that same, you know, S plus tier anymore. Hecarim, obviously I did have him down here as like my predicted what I thought of Hecarim. I completely you know, kind of, well, not messed up, but I completely, I guess, underrated him in a way, and undervalued him, and undervalued how strong he is. A lot of people are finally playing Bruiser Hecarim. This is a much better way to play Hecarim. Again, he, you know, probably his lethality build was A tier, but his Bruiser build was like S plus tier. But since the nerfs that he has got, he has moved down into the S tier. So he was A at the start. That was kind of my predicted tier. He was up in the S plus tier last patch, but now he's down in the S tier. He's still a really good champion to play if you play him as a Bruiser. Again, full lethality, I think it's very difficult to play, because not okay, you could do a lot of damage and you could do okay, but at the same time you can also get one shot at the same time. So I think with the sustain, with the amount of damage that he can still deal, I still think that his Bruiser build is a lot better. But again, plenty of S tier champions for you to play. Xin Zhao also received a buff this patch to his second ability, which honestly doesn't really mean too much, but extra damage is extra damage in a way, so that's really nice. Ross Kayn got a little bit of a buff. Obviously Blue Kayn is a lot better, Shadow Assassin, but the red version did get buffed this patch. Again, still stays S tier. Still think that Ross Kayn, there are maybe a few games that you want to play Ross Kayn, you know, for example, if you're not against any ranged champions at all, or maybe run one ranged champion, it does take you a long time to stack up to Shadow Assassin Kayn, so maybe it's a lot better just to go for red Kayn and go for sustain, you know, sort of Bruiser build. So that's probably okay. You know, champions like Volibear are still really good in the jungle. Zed, especially again with Duskblade and Boosted Dynamism. Vi, really easy jungler to play. Echo, Gragas. There's a lot of champions here in the S tier that you can give a try. One champion that I was going to move up from A tier up to S tier is Fizz as well. I honestly might do this next patch, because I think Fizz is getting pretty insane buffs with being able to build Crown Guard. You can build Awakened Soul Stealer, you can build Infinity Orb, obviously Death Cap as well. There are so many items that Fiddlesticks is going to be Fizz is going to be, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself there. So many items that Fizz will be able to build in the next patch, but I still think Fizz is really good in the jungle and really good in the mid lane as well. So definitely a champion to keep your eyes out on if you you know, come up with the opportunity that maybe you want to pick up Fizz. Gwen's still okay, not the best, but it's still okay. Shen's not bad in the jungle. Camille, just slow jungle clear. Pantheon is another one as well. I've been seeing Pantheon a lot more, but I think a lot of people just underestimate like how kind of easy it is to just CC Pantheon and to try and, you know, basically kill him. Obviously, he's going for like this one-shot crit build, which does a lot of damage if you do get caught, but if you have like QSS, if you're playing someone like Ezreal or Xayah, all you have to do is just keep your distance and just make sure you stay back, and you can easily CC him and just, you know, kind of one-shot him. And he doesn't really burst tanks either. He still struggles against tanks. Rengar's still pretty decent. Fiora as well is okay. Shyvana's is okay. Nunu's all right. Nautilus, I did move down again. I don't think Nautilus is as good. The AP build is going to be as good. I'm very curious with how his build is going to look like next patch with the changes that are happening to some of the AP items. Maybe he'll find something better with like Crown Guard, for example, might be really good on him. Crown of the Shattered Queen. I keep calling it Crown Guard because of TFT, but I think Nautilus might be pretty decent next patch in 4.4, but for now, not that great. Again, B tier champions that maybe you can pick up and still perform really well on. You know, champions like Rammus and Amumu, for example, especially in lower elos, they could be pretty good, but the higher elo you go, the more difficulty it is going to play them, but they still, you know, fit very niche scenarios. Morgana's still okay. Dr. Mundo, and then you go down to C tier, and Master Yi, Warwick, and Trendemir. These champions are just not that great in the jungle anymore, unfortunately. Mid lane, a few changes with the mid lane. S plus tier, again, pretty much stays the same. There's not really any champions that have really moved around. There's not really a lot of changes in the mid lane. Ari's still really insane. You know, you got assassins like Akali and Zed that are very strong in the mid lane at the moment. Again, especially with the Duskblade buff with and the Boots of Dynamism buff to Zed. The mages, Zoe and Vex, are still really good. So S plus tier doesn't really change. S tier, I did change some champions. I actually moved down Lucian and Corki, especially because we're in this assassin mid lane meta. Maybe this might change next patch when the mages start to get more and more popular with some of the AP items being changed. But I just think the AP assassins will just come into the meta. You know, champions like Diana, Fizz, again, as I mentioned before, is probably going to be very, very popular. Katarina might be very popular next patch as well. That's probably why they nerfed Katarina this patch. I think a lot of people were surprised when Katarina got nerfed, but if you think about it, they're probably nerfing Katarina before the new items go live, and then they're going to try and, you know, see how it goes after new items, because items like Crown of the Shattered Queen is absolutely insane on her. Also, you don't need to build Void Staff anymore if you wanted to on Katarina anyway. Allows you to go Awakened Soul Stealer, allows you to go Affinity Orb again. You've still got Rift Maker. So I think there's a lot of items that Katarina can benefit from a lot into the next patch. So maybe that's why they nerfed her, but she still stays in S tier for me. I still think there's a lot of outplay potential with her. But again, you know, mages might still be pretty decent as well. But they're still good at the moment. You know, Ziggs, Orianna's still pretty decent. Veigar's still pretty good if you can farm up. Karma as well. Kassadin is going to be very, very strong next patch. I think Kassadin is going to be one of the best mid laners to play patch 4.4. But again, getting a little bit too ahead of myself. I just can't stop thinking about patch 4.4 at the moment. Just the excitement is really, really kicking in. Yeah, most S plus champions, S champions are fine. Again, I moved Lucian Corki down just because of the way the meta is looking at the moment. Maybe they move back up. I'm not too sure. Again, Fizz maybe moves up into S tier. We'll have to wait and see how things go with like the AP meta in general. Cannon's still okay. Echo, Akshan, Pike, all these champions are, you know, pretty okay, to be honest with you. Lux as well with First Strike. You know, there's champions here that can definitely do very, very well in the mid lane. And then the B and the C tier again are champions that are just not that effective at the moment. They just lack, you know, pretty much everything that they want in a game. Aurelion Soul can maybe look to roam around to do something. Brand just gets one shot every single time. Seraphine's all right, but not the best. But yeah, these champions in general are just not going to provide you with maybe enough carry potential compared to the rest of the champions above. Yeah, that's pretty much it for mid lane. Again, dual lane hasn't changed at all. There was no changes at all in the dual lane, like none at all. There was no items, no champions, no nothing, no changes at all. So my tier list stays pretty much the same. Kai'Sa, Tristana, Ezreal, still three of the most dominant AD carries at the moment, but you can still drop down and try and find some champions that you want to play in the S tier. You know, champions like Caitlyn can still do very, very well. Corki's still pretty decent. Zeri as well, Jhin, Samira, you know, all these champions in the S tier can still do great. You know, same with champions like Vayne, even though she did get nerfed a few patches ago, she can still do extremely well. A tier is more of the difficult champions that require a lot of more skill and require certain scenarios to be able to work out. You know, champions like Draven, Neela, even though these two champions can carry and they can be very, very strong, they are very, very difficult to play and they have a very, very high skill ceiling. Jinx is only really good when you have an enchanter support. Other than that, she kind of falls off and she's very difficult to play if she doesn't have that same protection. I did actually move Miss Fortune up from B up into A. I was kind of comparing Miss Fortune to like Ashe and Twitch in general, and I was like, yeah, Miss Fortune is probably better. And Miss Fortune at the moment has some crazy high win rates at the moment in China. So yeah, very excited to see how Miss Fortune will kind of, you know, wrap things up. Maybe you can go like Dustblade with Miss Fortune. Maybe that could be something cool that you can try out. But yeah, let me know what you think about Miss Fortune. But I definitely think that she deserves to be moved up. You just have to make sure you position her correctly in team fights. Twitch and Ashe, as I just mentioned, again, just very, very difficult to play in the dual lane. They're just not going to do as much. You know, Twitch is better in the jungle. Ashe is probably better as a support at the moment, to be fair, because she just lacks a lot of carry potential. But I'm very excited to see how the ADC meta is going to shape up with all the item changes. I think Bloodthirster as the first item is going to be very powerful and pretty much every single AD carry. You know, Mortal Reminder coming in as a crit item. We got the new Maw of Malmortius, which is going to be good for a lot of AD carries against AP mages. So overall, very, very much looking forward to it. And I think it's going to be a very exciting patch, you know, patch 4.4 with all the AD carry changes in general. And support, there were a lot of changes with the support, and the reason why I say a lot of changes is you might not seem that there's a lot of changes in terms of, you know, tier lists, but Harmonic Echo being buffed is a crazy change for supports. And you'll see as I click on, you know, some of these champions, you know, like Lulu, Lux, and Soraka. We'll just take a look at the S+ tier champions, you know, in general. Harmonic Echo, you know, Harmonic Echo is an absolutely insane item. Maybe not first item on some champions, because like Lulu wants to go Ardent. Starfall of Flowing Water is still good. You can go Harmonic before Starfall of Flowing Water, but Starfall of Flowing Water stats are still great. You know, Lux as well can also go Harmonic Echo. Lux support with Harmonic Echo was really strong before, and with the bust Harmonic Echo, she's really good. Soraka as well, again, Harmonic Echo making her shield stronger. So a lot of champions now are going to build Harmonic Echo with this buff. You know, when Riot reduces the gold by 200 but then doubles the base value of the healing of Harmonic Echo, I don't think a lot of people are going to be surprised to see that Harmonic Echo is going to be built throughout many champions and many different supports, and you definitely need to give Harmonic Echo a try if you haven't already. But yeah, S+ tier, you know, Lulu, Yuumi, Lux, Soraka, these are still the same champions that can still buy Harmonic Echo. You know, Lulu might not, I mean, not Lulu, sorry, Yuumi might not be a champion that you want to buy Harmonic Echo. It can still work out okay on her. But she's still very strong anyway, Yuumi, because you just give so many stats over to one of your carries, and she's obviously untargetable and very difficult to deal with. And be Lux with her CC and her shielding, Soraka with her healing, Lulu as well. These supports are going to be, you know, absolutely great. Janna rework. I mean, there's some really strong points about Janna's rework, but at the same time, I don't think she's like broken. I mean, I think she's stronger than what she was before. Don't get me wrong. I think that her first ability now having 2 charges and being very difficult to dodge is very nice, because you don't have to like wait to get the full charge. You can just press it, channel it for like, I think it's like 0.75 seconds, whatever it is, and then boom, it goes in full charge straight away. The second ability is interesting. You'll see that obviously with the Janna build before, as I mentioned, you don't go for Imperial Mandate anymore, because it's only your first ability and your ultimate, which doesn't do a lot of damage anyway, so you don't really get a lot of value with Imperial Mandate. It's a lot better to go for Starfall of Flowing Water and Harmonic Echo now. So, you know, even though the second ability is used for more utility now in terms of speeding up your allies, as well as dealing a little bit of damage to enemy champions, I think that's kind of nerfed in a way. Third ability is like buff/nerf. It was a buff in terms of the cooldown being reduced by a lot, and also just being able to spam the ability more often. It's a big nerf that you can't actually choose who you want to shield anymore. So I think that's a very heavy nerf right now, and not being able to actually decide who you want to shield is going to be very difficult for Janna, I think. And you have to make sure that you position yourself correctly in a team fight to maybe only shield your AD carry, because you have to remember your shield also gives AD at the same time. So if someone's super low on HP and you give a shield over to them, it could be like a mage, for example, and then you're just not getting the full value out of the AD. So again, her ultimate is completely broken now, to be honest. I think that's the one broken part about her, is her ultimate. You know, being able to move whilst channeling your ultimate now, and being able to use your shield and your knock up and your second ability as well, is just absolutely insanely broken. But yeah, in general, I think Janna is strong, but I just don't think she reaches up into the S+ tier. I think champions like Soraka are stronger, Lux is stronger, Lulu's stronger. I think these champions are definitely stronger. Pike as well, obviously with boost of dynamism and also Dustblade being buffed. Pike is still, going to be insanely strong. He's probably the best carry support to play right now. If you want to put him up into S+ tier in terms of best carry supports. But he is insanely strong right now. Nami, Nami, Karma, he's still really good. Rakan's still really good. The tank supports as well are still pretty decent. Thresh, Alistar, Nautilus, Leona, these are still insanely strong. Some of the champions down below, Sona, you could say she got a buff with Harmonic Echo, especially with all the healing that she does and all the insane shielding as well, healing and shielding. So you can say that Sona got a bit of a buff with Harmonic Echo. But again, Senna as a carry support, still really, really strong. Seraphine, Brom, Blitzcrank, they're kind of meh. They can work, they can't work. And then Set and Morgana down here as kind of the niche supports to pick up. As they yawn at the end of this video. Of course I do. Yeah, that's pretty much everything for the tier list. Again, not too many changes, just a few things to kind of point out in terms of champions, but there's still plenty of champions you can play. Obviously, this is going to be the last tier list in terms of patch 4.3, and then we have the patch 4.4 tier list, which I'll probably do like maybe a week after the patch just to see how the patch is shaping up. Yeah, really excited for all the new items, all new changes that are coming in, especially with buffs to some of the items that are maybe on a bit of a weak side and some of the champions as well. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting next few weeks. Make sure you keep an eye out for all content coming out for patch 4.4, and as always, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Wild Rift content. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these of the tier list, and maybe give me your opinions. Again, I read every single comment. I make sure that I go through all of them and read them and make sure that yeah, I appreciate all your support, and hopefully you all realize that I appreciate all your support by liking your comments and replying to them as much as I can. But yeah, obviously make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below for the giveaway as well. But I appreciate all your support as always. It means the world to me, and hopefully you're enjoying the patch 4.4 content. I do have more patch 4.4 content coming out as well. Fiddlesticks Guide, Arena Mode, so much more. So keep an eye out for that one. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you all next one. Peace.